All right. Well, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started little bit early if we are. I'm not sure what the time is. Um, it is 9 a.m. Central Time, and we have Lindsey. Now, is it McCaghren?
It's McCaghren, like the girl's name Catherine.
Okay,
Yeah. So
Catherine. Okay.
I don't know where the G came from, but
So is it, what kind of name is that?
it's Scott Irish.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually Brandon has gone over to Ireland and tried to get like the correct pronunciation, and it's kind of, you got to have that brogue to say it, so it kind of gets like guttural a little bit.
Nice. You guys been to Ireland? How long ago was that?
Gosh, I can't even remember. I think it was 2 summers ago, maybe 3. So yeah, we went over. He's gone over twice, and I've just gone over once. And so he was doing like a seminar series with England and Ireland, and then they wanted him to come back, and so I was like, I'm going this time. So I went and just got to travel around with them and see a bunch of, well, not necessarily, they weren't all 10th Planet schools, but just get to see the jiu-jitsu abroad. That was really cool.
That's the coolest thing about being involved with the 10 Planet affiliates, because they're all over the world. And I mean, in Ireland, and then I didn't realize there was one in Ireland, or I don't know how many, and then Amsterdam was another one.
Yeah. So I mean, there's over 100 worldwide now. So yeah, but I don't know, because there's little schools that'll pop up and then maybe have like 20 or 30 students, and I don't even know. But yeah, there's 2 in Ireland, in Carlow and Dublin. So yeah, but with Australia and Thailand and just, all over the place now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But now the restrictions are a little bit higher. Like, you have to have a black belt before you can open up a 10th Planet school. So Brandon was just a blue belt when he opened up our school like 10 years ago. It's actually this year's 10 years that we've opened up our school.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
Happy
thank you.
anniversary.
Thank you.
Also, I was talking a little bit. So you're married. You're going to be married for what, 18, 19 years?
This month will be 19 years.
Okay. Yeah. So happy anniversary. So you got your 10th anniversary and 19th anniversary.
Yeah. And then Brandon turns 40 this month too. So it's a big month. Yeah.
Nice. How about you?
I'll be 40 in September.
Nice. Welcome to Brandon, welcome to the 40 Club, and you guys are coming.
Yeah, I'm getting there close.
Well, as long
hard to feel it a little bit.
As long as we age gracefully,
yeah.
I'm doing well with that. So, we have a question. Good morning, Apoku. He said, "Are you a Conor McGregor fan?"
I am. I actually love watching Conor McGregor. He's such a dynamic fighter. You don't really get to see a whole lot of his ground game, jiu-jitsu wise, but I've heard that he's phenomenal. He's just so good at not being taken down, and just if he does get taken down, getting back up. So we don't get to see a whole lot of his groundwork, but yeah, I love watching him, whether he's on the feet or not. So yeah, I really enjoy watching Conor.
Yep, for sure. So, eventually I'd like to go visit Ireland. So tell us a little bit of the environment and the culture over there while you're visiting.
It actually reminded me a lot of Alabama.
Really?
Just culture-wise and hospitality-wise, we got to go over and spend time and actually be in somebody's home. So we have a guy, Keith Cavanaugh, who comes and goes from our school. He'll come over here for 3 months and then go back for 6 months or 9 months and then come back 3 months. But we actually got to stay with his family. So they got to take us around and show us all the local sites. So they're from a smaller town called Drogheda. And so we got to see a lot of their, just their culture and I like to think, because if somebody comes to Huntsville, we show them the Space and Rocket Center, right? So that's our main event. But we got to see a lot of their local tourist attractions and that kind of thing. But they took care of us and just were so awesome. But the scenery, it's all green, it's beautiful, you know, everything's rich and so that kind of the landscape did remind me of Alabama, and just, you know, just green trees and fields and all kinds of things like that. And then the hospitality was amazing. And every time we went into a gym, it was like, hey guys, you know, whether I'd met them before or not. And that goes along with the 10th Planet culture, in my opinion. And I've always been, every time I go to a 10th Planet school, it's always like, oh, Lindsey, it's so awesome to meet you, you know. And so it's always home when we go somewhere. So yeah, and Ireland is amazing. I didn't get to go and see as many things as I wanted to. Like, I didn't even get to go to Dublin. But you know, just seeing, I love to go places and do the things that the locals get to do, you know, and not necessarily get to see. The tourist attractions are great, but you know, I want to see what it's like to actually live in the country. So it was amazing to get to stay in a home, and the Kavanaughs took amazing care of us. So yeah, it was really great.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was the question. It was green as it is in picture for sure. Yeah, we've seen beautiful landscapes from Ireland.
Yes.
So let's back up a little bit. So I'd like to kind of know your background a little bit more, from how were you as a child growing up, and then eventually, you know, how'd you get into jiu-jitsu?
Okay, so so my dad was a single dad. He was raising me and my brother, and I had just gotten into this phase where I just was sitting on the couch eating Cheetos or chips, and my dad would tell me something, and I would get that like TV zombie phase, you know, and I wouldn't even hear what he was saying. And he was like, okay, Lindsey, this is ridiculous. You're just sitting on the couch eating Cheetos. You've got to pick a sport. I don't care what it is. And, you know, and I was like, okay. So I picked a basketball.
What age was that?
Basketball.
What age was that?
I was probably 12, 11, 12.
Yeah. I did basketball too. That was my sport before jiu-jitsu.
So I played till I was probably 15, and then just got bored with it. I picked up all and just tried a bunch of different things. And then when I graduated from high school, I had already gotten into the mode where I was like, okay, I'm going to be fit. I'm going to always exercise. I would go to the gym. I would thing, and I was really interested in that. Just that kind of piqued my interest in starting to be able to, you know, I mean, you learn a little bit of the technique and stuff, but mostly it's just cardio kind of stuff. Then we got married, and I was still active. I was running and going to the gym and that kind of thing, but Brandon's health started getting bad, or we thought it was bad, and he was gaining weight, and I was like, okay, you know, I married you. I love you. I want you to be around for forever. So, you know, we got to do something. We're going to do it together. So he picked martial arts, and I was calling around trying to find a school that he wanted to do MMA. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. We'll see what happens. But I called around and got in touch with a karate school, and they were like, yeah, we do MMA. Well, it was really like they just beat the mess out of each other every Saturday, and they called that MMA. And I was like, okay, you know. So I took the karate part. I let him do the Saturdays where they just beat each other up. And but the karate curriculum that we at the school that we chose to be at incorporated some Japanese jiu-jitsu. So once we started learning those techniques, it was really, for Brandon, this light kind of went on. I was still enjoying the forms and all of the like artsy parts of martial art, you know, and so, but I was game for whatever. And once we got our black belts in Tong Soo Do, that was the art that we were in. We really just wanted to focus on jiu-jitsu. And so Brandon got in touch with Eddie. He got his books and was consuming everything Eddie Bravo, and went to a seminar and was like, okay, this is the guy. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do 10th Planet. And I was like, okay, you know, whatever you want to do. And it just really exploded from there. We started off in the back room of a karate school that was I think it was 200 square feet with puzzle mats. So we were on top of each other and banging into the walls, and it was interesting. It kind of makes you appreciate where you are now. You get more than 2 matches going at the same time. So yeah, I mean, so just sitting on the couch eating Cheetos, and my dad made me start getting active. So, but once he did, he was right, and I appreciate that now. I did not appreciate the running and stuff that basketball at the time, but
Deadly line drills and deadly suicides. I hated them. Back
Oh,
in the
yes.
days.
Yes, those were terrible. But now I'm kind of like, I do it by choice, like I work out with a workout partner. Well, it was just twice a week, but now that we're locked down, we meet and do something little like every day. So trying to keep up the cardio.
Gotcha. Now I heard somewhere, and we didn't cover it last time when I had your husband on. So was he like over 200 pounds, or before he started, or what was the story on that?
Yeah, I think he was around 210, and which is, people can wear 210 a lot differently, but he's kind of, I hate to say that he's short. That sounds bad. But he and I are the same height, so we're around 5'8", 5'9". Okay. So yeah,
so on his videos he looks taller. So I don't know who your camera guy is.
Working out.
He looks taller in the videos.
There we go.
Gotcha. No, I was just saying he looks taller in the videos, so he looks. So whoever the camera guy is, he's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job.
We have a question from Apuku. Someone that comes from a no-gi school, what is your opinion on Ghee? I know you guys did some Ghee. I don't know if you still do with the kids class.
Right. So we put the kids into Ghees. You think about a lot of kids' sports, whether they're playing basketball or baseball, they have a uniform. And so when they put the uniform on, they kind of get into the practice mindset. Or game time mindset. And so a lot of, in the combat business thing that we are a part of was like, put those kids in a Ghee, and they get to see, so they're wearing their belts, they get to see what their ranks are, and we give them stripes. And so they get to see their own progress. And so for that, I think it's great. We don't really teach them a lot of the handles or anything like that. We kind of just do no gi in a gi. So if that makes any sense. Oh, yeah. And so for me, I really haven't trained gi a whole lot. I've heard raves about, like we know a guy that's in Birmingham that teaches a lot of gi classes, and he tells me all this, Lindsey, you need to put a gi on every once in a while. And I agree. I think it's a different game to me. So there's, it's a lot slower because you can control your opponent a lot better, using their clothes and those kind of things. The grips are different. You have different attacks and that kind of thing. So I really just think that it's kind of like softball and baseball. Just that they're really similar, but they've got a lot of differences. And so to me, that's just what it is. You just got to learn how to play it differently. So, and it can be adapted, I think now if I went into Ghee, I would probably use a lot of the no Ghee grips, but I don't know. I'm a white belt in the Ghee, so I wouldn't claim to know very much. But yeah, I would probably get yelled at a lot for like holding the neck and the arm until you grab the collar. So I don't know.
No, I think one of the players I like to watch that uses both Ghee and Ghee grips that does a very good job of knowing when to grip and when knowing when to let go and transition is the Mendes brothers. Just the way they're playing their game and how they're able to break off like the De La Hiva or the worm guards and stuff like that. So that's an easy transition to watch between a Ghee and a no Ghee that plays both games of jiu-jitsu. So
yeah.
But as far as let's talk a little bit about you were a school teacher, or are you still a school teacher?
No, I was. So I taught high school math for 14 years. And then I ended up getting my master's. So Obama had passed this program to where if you taught at a low income school for 5 or more years, that you would get your pretty much you get your master's paid for. They gave you like 17.5, I think, towards your master's. I'm like, that's pretty much going to pay for a master's. So it was kind of a no brainer for me to, and I just did it all online. And so I got my counseling degree, school counseling. And so I was a guidance counselor for a year also. So yeah, and then Brandon told me, he's like, the school's doing so well, you can quit your job if you want to. And I was like, bye. Cool. So yeah, it was, I really enjoyed being a guidance counselor a lot more than I did classroom teaching. I mean, I really enjoyed math, but now I'm teaching people who pay me to be here. So it's a lot different. You know, you've got the teenagers and I'm teaching them math, which they hate, and they hate me and their captive audience. But yeah, now these people, our students, are so inquisitive. They ask great questions and they're really interested in the material. And so it's a lot different actually having people who enjoy hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, for sure. So that's like a pretty cool story from when you guys opened 10 years ago to where you're able to quit your job, because that's like a dream in the making. And then all of a sudden, wow, it's, all that hard work is fruit comes into fruition. And so
Yeah.
congrats to you guys. And look at you guys now, you're just having fun still during the process. So was it ever, I'm sure there's like some ups and downs, and you guys seem like you cool, calm, collective during the process and having fun. So I don't know what your take is during that your process of from when you started to the in between till where you're at now, because now you guys are like, well, BMAC mostly is like online all the time.
Yeah.
So tell us your
How that went.
your security in as a practitioner, to where you're at right now as a teacher.
Okay. So in the beginning, like when we were in that little karate school, 200 square feet of mats, Brandon was saying, Lindsey, I want to do this. I want this to be my job. And so he was a youth ministry, worked for a church for a while and wanted to get out of that and transition into something else. And I said, I don't care what you do. You just got to make this amount of money. So we got this budget, just bring in this much. And so he was waiting tables for a while.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he worked at an old Charlie's and was waiting tables and doing the school, and I was just teaching. And so really, if you watch any Gary Vaynerchuk stuff, it's like you can change your life. You just have to put forth the hustle, and it's going to take a lot of extra effort, and eventually it'll pay off. And Brandon, all along that path, was telling me, Lindsey, I'm going to get you out of your job. And, I would just come home stressed. And, at one point there was a girl who was being very aggressive towards me at school. And I was like, I'm going to get fired.
I'm going to get fired, prison, something.
So, I think jiu-jitsu, a lot of people say that jiu-jitsu makes you more calm in the rest of your life and helps you to solve problems better. And, when you're dealing with teenagers, and I'm like, I could choke you, I'm so frustrated. I would come home and just be, and he's like, okay, we can get you out of this job. And so he would keep saying that, and he believed it. And I was just like, okay, I was just on the path. I was going to keep supporting him, whatever, And so I was like, whatever happens, we're good. And I can keep doing this job for forever until I retire. I just, it's just stressful. And so he actually got an opportunity. One of the local gym owners, his son was a state champion wrestler, and the son wanted to get into MMA. So he actually hired Brandon with a salary and was like, okay, I want you to teach MMA program at our gym, our 24-hour facility. And I was like, yes, a paycheck every week. So he started doing that. They matted out one of their aerobic rooms, and we put some bags up there, heavy bags and stuff. And so we got out of the 200 square feet and went into 900 square feet, and started growing. Yeah, we really didn't know what we were doing, like sales process wise. We're like, all right, this is how much it costs, sign up or don't, So we didn't really have a sales process at that time. We were growing, trying to figure out what to do. And so I can't remember how many, we might have had 50 students at that time. But I was happy. Brandon was getting a paycheck, and I was training like twice a week at that point. We have our families are both really close, and so we had babysitters. So Tuesday night, one of our dads would come. Thursday night, the other dad would come and watch the kids. And so I had a routine down. I was only training twice a week at that point, working full time. We had 2 kids, and so I mean, it was kind of tough. We had full schedules, and I was working during the day. Brandon was working at night teaching classes, so it was kind of tough. But we would get to see each other. Like, he was teaching and I was taking class, and that was like our quality time, I guess. But yeah, so then that facility shut down. We got wind that facility was shutting down, and so we started looking for a new place, and found it's like a warehouse space that we're in now. So there's offices in the front, and then a huge mat room in the back. And I can't remember how much square footage we have now, like 1,600. It's pretty big. And now we're up to, well, before COVID-19, we were at 180 students. So, and people are having to put their stuff on hold, which is completely understandable. But, most of our students are pretty supportive about what's going on right now. And if they're still working and can pay us, they're wanting to support the gym because they want us to be back, so it's going.
Yeah. It seems like you guys have built a good culture environment, that rapport and that relationship that students appreciate you, and they want to make sure, appreciate you, and then being able to support you through your journey, because as much as, and you're also supporting the community too, and so not only within your school but outside of that. And so we appreciate you all, how much impact you guys are doing within the jiu-jitsu community. So appreciate you guys. I do have a few questions, and thank you so much for sharing that story, because we just see the end results, but we don't see the grind. Like you talked about the hustle from, I do listen to Gary Vee, and the reason why I kind of started this and out of a whim is because, you know what, we need some sort of social interaction, structure, routine, people at least being able to have a purpose to get up and about that don't have that structure routine. And so that's the reason why I kind of started this. Let's see. Yes, this week we have a school teacher on here. This week is a teacher appreciation week, so we definitely appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Let's see. Are you a leg locker? What is your go-to moves or subs?
Right now I'm really working on my choking series. So anaconda, guillotine, darce sequences.
Are you going to release videos on that?
I stole it. So. I don't know that I can really release it.
Coach Brandon said that you are a better teacher than him. So I like to see the way you break things down, because everyone has a different perspective, especially on the anaconda head arm choke, because I like to see your breakdown on those things.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely do some videos. So February so Brandon he did some stem cell procedure. So they drew bone marrow out of his hip and then spun it in a centrifuge, got his own stem cells, and they injected it into his neck and his knee. And so he was supposed to be off the mat for like 6 weeks. And so he really needed some help teaching. So February I did X guard all month. So created a flow and just taught, I don't even know how many classes it was, but it was all month. Just off of that flow and sweeps and stuff from X-Guard. So a few of those X-Guard things are on Brandon's website, and I've had some compliments about it. I taught for 14 years, so I know how to teach, and I really think about how I learn. And so I think the procedure that helps me to learn the most is when someone shows me how to do it. And then, so I really enjoy the classroom type setting where there's a teacher that I can ask questions, but I want them to show me, and then I want them to watch me do it to make sure that I'm doing it correctly, and then just go away and let me practice it on my own, just rep and drill. But you're right there, when you were talking about, you don't really appreciate the journey. You just see the end result, and Brandon and Scaff, which is one of our other black belts that's here at this location. We were talking about how our students now are so lucky because we were all blue belts and white belts when we started. And so we didn't know when we were doing something wrong, and we would drill it 300 times, and so now our students have 3 black belts on the mat going, no, just move your hand just an inch to the right, and that kind of thing. And then that takes out all that, that work that you did that you just got to trash later. So, but yeah, and our kids too, I don't know that they appreciate the journey. Like, our daughter really enjoys jujitsu and the competition of it. And, she said the other day, she goes, why do people get so nervous before competitions? She's like, and I was like, that's a huge thing. Like, everybody gets nervous. And she's like, why? I don't get it. But yeah, so she, she's had us by her side, correcting and tweaking and everything like that. And so she really gets the benefit of all our grinding that we've done in the past. So, but our students do too. And so, yeah, it has been a really good journey. But yeah, teaching, I really feel comfortable teaching. It's just I have to be super knowledgeable about the jiu-jitsu before I feel comfortable teaching it. I want to be able to answer your questions and know what your questions are going to be before I teach something. So I study really hard so I don't end up on the mats going, oh, I forgot what I was doing, and get lost and that kind of stuff, because that's super embarrassing.
Totally understand that for sure. So talk about you have a daughter and a son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our son is 15. He we make him do jujitsu because, we told him that he can do any kind of sport that he wants to do. So I kind of took up my father's, advice, like, you got to do something. I don't care what it is. And it's just easier for him to choose jujitsu because we have a school. So he kind of endures it, and he's gotten good kind of by accident because he's been doing it for so long. And right now it's kind of all knees and elbows. When you're trying to pass the guard, it's like, protect your face. You're going to get kicked. But yeah, he's long and lanky, and he's going to be really good. And once he turns 18, he can go do whatever he wants to do, but we're going to give him a skill set before that. But yeah, our daughter, she wrestled for our city league wrestling team a couple of years ago. So not this last season, but the season before. And
It's going to be someone to reckon with, it sounds like.
Yeah, she is. She is right now. Just trying to protect your guard. She's so heavy, and she loves pressure passing. And so you're kind of just like, oh God, just pass already.
Wow. How much does she weigh?
Like 120.
Man, yeah.
I know. I only got about 20 pounds on her, so I got to figure out something.
Love it. So tell us your experience on, you said she competed for the first time?
Well, no, she wants to do, so she did wrestling like 2 seasons ago, and she actually got 3 or 4 pins. In the beginning when she did compete for the first time in wrestling, she went straight to her butt and was trying to play her guard, and like, no, you can't put your back on the mat. So yeah, she's super used to just, sitting down on her butt. So
that's funny.
We're guard pullers here. So,
I wanted to see a video of that. I wish I would have seen that a wrestling match and you guard pull.
Right. So yeah, that was interesting.
Like locked.
Her coach was going a little crazy. So, but yeah, you could see her progression throughout the season, and she even had to cut weight a little bit. So she decided that she wasn't doing as well as she wanted to do because she was the lightest person in her weight class. And I was like, well, why don't you drop like 3 pounds? And then you can be the heaviest person in this next weight class down. And so she actually did it. She was motivated and was weighing herself. And, we talked to her about, and like, you're just cutting weight for the sport. You are perfect the way you are. And, I was trying to be encouraging about, just her body image. She's 12. She just turned 12. And so I didn't want that to be an issue. I'm like, this is just a skill that you do in this sport. Is sometimes you have to cut weight. And so she was a boss. Like, she really was strict about her diet and was weighing and all kinds of stuff. And so she ended up going against several little boys there at the end that were just tough, super tough. And I was just sitting on the sidelines, gritting my teeth. And so I think it was her last match of the season. And she comes off the mat. She had just had this epic battle. And she comes off the mat and she's bleeding out of her mouth. And she starts crying. And she goes, Mom, I could have won that one. She's like, if I would have just, and I'm like, I'm so proud of you right now. Like, she's just this little warrior, bleeding and crying and just like, oh, I could have done better, Mom. I could have, just give me like 2 or 3 more minutes. I could have gotten that kid, And so I was just like, okay, she really loves it. So
Sounds like she's pretty competitive.
Yes.
I wonder where she gets that from.
Both of us. Brandon was always competitive at jiu-jitsu, and I'm more competitive like in training. I mean, I compete in other things, but I never really did a whole lot of jiu-jitsu competitions. But yeah, she loves it. But yeah, she's got that competitive spirit from both of us.
And then you train in other stuff. It seems like you've done Spartan races.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've stalked your IG
profile.
Oh.
I row on a dragon boat, right? I row on a dragon boat team, which very sad. Our season, I guess it's gotten canceled, all our practices, and so we end up in the beginning of May. Usually, we have a citywide like festival. It's a fundraiser for one of our local hospitals, and a bunch of companies from Decatur and even Huntsville will come together and we race. So our team has been, I think we've won 3 years in a row, and like 4 out of the last 5 years we've gotten first place. And so we're super competitive there, and I really love it. That's one of the things that I do for me. Brandon is like, no, I'm not gonna row on a dragon boat, whatever. He just does jiu-jitsu and that's it. But we got invited, it was probably 3 summers ago. I don't think it was 4 yet, but we got invited to go to Shanghai.
Oh wow!
Nice. And row on one of their like amateur invitationals, and that was amazing. So China ended up paying for our whole trip. And yeah, it was amazing. I got to see the Great Wall and got to compete internationally. And so, yeah.
So instead of being a sponsored jiu-jitsu athlete, you're a sponsored dragon boat athlete.
Right. So I always joke around with the guys. I'm like, hey, I'm an international athlete. I don't know, They always give me some trash talk. And I'm like, have you competed internationally? No. So.
I love it. That's a healthy way to stay competitive for sure.
Right. Yeah.
So questions we have, how do you separate work life from family life in terms of not taking your work home with you?
That's hard because Brandon and I work together. So, I don't teach a whole lot. He teaches, but I run more of the administrative day-to-day stuff for the business. And he's more internet-based, like running his social media and figuring out when he's going to stream and all of this stuff. So it is kind of different what we do just day to day. but it's interconnected because a lot of the stuff that he does online is what's bringing in new customers and new clients into the school. So we collab a lot, and there's really no time where it's like we stopped working. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard. We talk about business all the time. It's like either business or the kids. That's what we're talking about. And we're sitting on the couch the other day. I was like, we need to go on a date, but we can't really go anywhere right now. So he's like, okay, we're gonna go on a picnic or something. So yeah, we'll say, all right, we're just not gonna talk about kids or work. We're just gonna talk about us. So no, I have a really hard time separating, especially when you run a business with your spouse. It's very hard to separate.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you guys have a pretty good health relationship with work and your families, and so you're able to bring those two together. Whereas some people are like just constantly, it's just like a dreadful hate, you know,
Mm.
whether anger comes out, frustration and stuff like that. So it seems like
Yeah.
you have a even kill between.
We both love what we do now. I mean, when the school got shut down, it was more stressful that we couldn't work. So we're just so used to doing what we love. It's not really work anymore.
Right.
So
That
yeah.
definitely makes sense. Yeah, when you love your work, it's not really work. So that's
Right.
a good point. That's the question you already asked. As a parent, would you let your kids transition into MMA?
Ooh, I think my daughter would probably want to try MMA. Not my son. Well, I don't know. Once that testosterone comes in, they kind of get more combative, and so he might. I mean, they've taken some stand-up classes before, and just were part of our kickboxing classes for a while. So I mean, they've got a few techniques. I think at a certain age, I would say it's your decision. But I would want to make sure that they are informed. Just head injuries and the concussions and that kind of thing worry me. But, I mean, if they had gotten to 18 and they were still wanting to do it, I would support it, I think. You have to be passionate about something like that. It's just, there's a very big cost to MMA.
Yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, understanding getting comfortable with, as you're going through your MMA classes, you're transitioning and watching other people experience it. I think you'll have a better understanding as years goes by.
Yeah.
So yeah,
My nerves just sitting on the sidelines watching her wrestle with boys. I mean, she would go against a girl, I'm sure, with MMA, but like, I'm just a nervous wreck. Brandon talked about doing some fights at some point, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can watch. I'd want to be there to support you, but I don't even know. It would be hard.
another question, going back to Alabama, has it become more diverse in the past than in the past? If so, what steps are you guys taking to diversify your gym?
So are you talking about like race wise?
I'm not sure. Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more, Apoku, on that? As we're getting back to that, what's your take on combat BJJ?
I enjoy watching it.
Your daughter can probably eventually do.
It's very exciting. I am intimidated by it for myself, just getting on the bottom of mount, and because I feel like I can work my way out of mount if given the time, but just like I view Ghee jujitsu, I think combat jujitsu is a separate sport too, because I think a lot of your positions have to change when there are threat of strikes. You can't just hang out in a position. And so it becomes a different game. It's a different skill set. But yeah, I love watching it. And I think that might be the next big thing. I think Eddie is still going to keep like EBI, but I think the CJJ is what's rising faster. It's more like the UFC. And so people see it and they're like, oh, okay. And because even high level jujitsu competition, I may be like yelled at for this, but high level jujitsu is a lot of like just trying to pass the guard. I mean, like you'll sit and watch ADCC matches and it's just like somebody's so good at the guard and then somebody's trying to pass it and they're high level too. And so the whole round is just somebody trying to pass somebody else's guard. So it can be kind of, boring to watch, especially if you don't know what's going on. But if you see a CJJ match, it's exciting and if somebody can watch UFC and not really know what's going on, but it's exciting to watch. And so I really think that Eddie's kind of pushing that out there because it's more consumer friendly. People want to eat that kind of stuff up.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's actually a good word, more consumer friendly. And then plus it's going to change how we think, especially there's sports jiu-jitsu and then we got more of a combat where we're like, okay, we can't be just, laying in the guard and without protecting ourselves and controlling their arms or heads, and so
Right.
It makes you think about jiu-jitsu differently. As a sport and as a self-defense. Yes, he did say diversity in race-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your?
I don't know. Our state is diverse, yes, and yeah, our gym I would say is predominantly white, but I mean we have a lot of different races at our gym. I really think that the community and the environment that Brandon and I have created here, everybody's welcome.
Right.
And we've actually started increasing our women's program. So we it was very hard to keep women for a while because I think I had gotten into the mindset where because I had to do it, I had to train against guys. I mean, that's all we had. And so I had guy training partners. And so whenever women came in to try class, I was like, well, just let them train with that guy, And so I had to change my mindset. And because some women have been traumatized or that kind of thing, and they don't want to train with a guy. So we started gradually building up our women's program. And now we have this like corner of the mat where these core women come and get to drill with each other. And now when women come through the door, it's like, oh, there's already women here, so I can stay. So once you have some, it's easier to get more. But yeah, I mean, I've never really noticed a discrepancy in like our race population. I really think that jiu-jitsu is for anybody,
Yeah. That's awesome that your women's program is growing because I think I heard you were talking initially early in the early stages. It was hard to keep women at your school, so definitely.
I think it takes a it's a special kind of woman that loves jiu-jitsu. I mean. You got to be okay with the sweat and sticking your head in somebody's armpit. That's just not for everyone.
So you competed once, you said?
Mm-hmm. So
Talk
this
about
was
that competition because they had a competition, so they were interested in your take of your one-time competition.
Okay. So I don't even think we had our blue belts yet. And we were just doing some local competition. And so down here in the South, I don't know, I'm sure the competition scene is a lot different in different locations of the country. But down here, it's there's just not a lot of women. There aren't a lot of women that are training, period. So then there are less women that are competing. And so it was just a local little tournament, and there was one other woman there. And so really, whoever's running the competition, it's like, oh, well, we have two women, then you can just compete against each other. So they came and asked me if it was okay because she was literally 100 pounds heavier than me. Literally 100 pounds. And so I was like, at this point, I was like, oh, who cares? Yeah, let's do it. And so now I would be like, no way, because my body is getting fragile because I'm almost 40 and I've been training jiu-jitsu for 13 years. So I'm more protective of my body. But she was also a brown belt in judo. So we started the competition. I go flying across the mat And so, yeah, I just remember like falling onto my back and like it's like in slow motion. And once we got to the ground, I was fine because I guess most judo, I don't really know that much about judo other than it's a lot of throws. But yeah, once she threw me and I was on the ground, I was more comfortable on the ground. So I ended up submitting her, but it just kind of gave me a bad taste in my mouth about local competitions and that kind of thing, you know, because I'd been training and I was prepared, but then, you know, my opponent was 100 pounds heavier and a lot more experienced than I was, or at takedowns and that kind of thing than I was. But it's like that, and I help coach when our team goes to different places, and just there's just not a lot of women competing, and so it really doesn't matter what your age group is or your experience level or your weight class. It's just they just stick females together. So to me right now, like I said, that's kind of dangerous for me just because I'm fragile. My body's falling apart. So.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're keeping good care of yourself as far as your strength training, it seems like. And so
Yeah, I mean, I kid around. It is definitely a lot different waking up first thing in the morning than when I was, you know, 30. But yeah, I'm in great shape and I feel great. So yeah, I'm just kidding around mostly about that falling apart. But some days they're a lot different than others.
I'm not sure if this is a good question to ask, but how is your husband maintaining a healthy diet while traveling? Well, he's not traveling right now, but in the past. So I don't think he keeps a healthy diet.
Okay, he would probably tell you differently, but his diet is never healthy. Like,
that's why I was like laughing at this question.
Yeah, no. So really, he does jujitsu so he can eat whatever he wants to. And yeah, he does jujitsu so that he doesn't have to do any kind of like cardio or strength training. Like he just does jujitsu. He told the kids the other day, he's like, if you ever see me running, like something's wrong because I don't run. Like I learned how to do jujitsu so I would never have to run again. So yeah, he loves spicy chicken sandwiches and so yeah, not a healthy diet. Like he would tell you about like he had this little span of time where he went, I think it was vegetarian. You know, so he's like, yes, I've tried different diets and that kind of thing, but no, his diet is terrible. What's a pizza?
Vegan pizza.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about your question. Yeah, I mean, you teach self-defense from what I've seen in your videos, correct?
We do not have a self-defense course that we do for ladies. I've had a lot of questions about that lately. We've done self-defense courses in the past. Not a whole lot of participation in this area. And then we'll have people call in, oh, I want a group to come in and learn self-defense from you guys. And it really makes me hesitant to teach a self-defense course. You know, just one of those like seminars that's like an hour or 2 hours. I really don't want a woman to come in and practice something for an hour or 2 hours. And then she's got this false sense of confidence that she practiced the technique for 2 hours. You know, I mean,
right.
I really tell ladies that call, you need to be in a program that you're practicing something consistently. I did have a lady, she was taking private lessons from me for a while, and she was like, okay, so how many lessons do you think that it's going to take? And I was like, okay, well, tell me what your goal set is. Like, what are you looking for? And she's like, well, I just want to be able to kick somebody's butt whenever I need to. And I'm like, okay, well, and she was a marathon runner. And I was like, okay, well, how long did it take you to get good at running marathons? And she's like, oh, years. I was like, okay, well, think about how many ways an attacker can grab you, and you want to be proficient at each one of those attacks. I was like, you've got to be practicing those, defenses all the time, and just make it muscle memory. Wow. And so I said, you really need to be in a class, or this needs to be just consistent private lessons, you know. So
that's a good way to put it. For sure. Let me think about that. Yep. So Uh, how long did it take you to get and you just got recently promoted your black belt last year?
It was in July.
July,
Yeah.
so your 1 year is almost coming up.
Mhm.
So how long did it take you to get to your black belt?
It was 12 and a half years.
Yep.
So, like I said, there for a while, I was just doing 2 days a week. I was working full time. We had 2 kids, cleaning the house and cooking supper and all that stuff. And so yeah, just twice a week was all I could really handle at that time. Once the kids started getting older, then I was able to bring them with me or stick them in a class. And I had gotten promoted at the beginning. I thought I was just going to be a white belt forever, taking class 2 days a week for the rest of my life. And I was okay with that. It just was, I knew it was a long-term project. And so I was just willing to put in the work consistently for a long period of time. And then at some point, Brandon was like, well, if you would just roll a little bit more, then you could get your blue belt. And I was like, what? Really? And so he kind of put that goal in my head, like, oh, he actually thinks that I could be a blue belt. And so it kind of worked that way up each belt rank. You'd be like, all right, you just need a little bit more of this or a little bit more offense, or we need to sharpen your attacks and you could be this next belt level. And I would just, every time I'd be like, what? So, once he saw that potential in me, I was kind of like, okay, so I just need to work a little bit harder and I could obtain that goal. And so, at some point I thought I was going to be embarrassed that it had taken me 12 and a half years. But, like my mom gave me one piece of advice that I always remember. And it was like, time's going to pass regardless. Just what are you going to be at the end of that time? Or what are you going to have at the end of that time? Like, you're right. The years are going to pass and I could either be a black belt at the end of it or I could not be a black belt, so that's kind of the mindset that I do whenever I take on a long-term project. It's just time's going to pass. Are you going to be better at the end of it? And so, 12 and a half years, most people get like 10, but I just a little slow. So, but I got there.
Yep, for sure. Congrats on the black belt on
Thank
there.
you.
It was given from your husband.
Yes.
Brandon. Cool. So let's go ahead. What would be like a positive? It can be a quote or a positive message or a mantra that you would like to leave for others today.
I think it is just you have to look at jiu-jitsu as a long-term project and just be willing to put in a consistent amount of work for however long it takes, and not necessarily think about the ranks, but think about your improvement, because all coaches promote differently. But you don't want to be like, you want to keep getting consistently better than yourself. You want to always improve. And so no matter who's ranking you, you're consistently getting better than yourself. So yeah, and just don't get frustrated at, oh, I haven't gotten promoted yet, and so-and-so got promoted and I started way before them. Look at yourself and grade yourself by your past self. And also, think about evaluating yourself by the new people that walk in. So, a lot of people who are working towards their blue belts or purple belts get frustrated. But, when I would roll against somebody that was brand new, I'd be like, oh, I can murder that guy. And so that would always make me feel better when somebody would come in and not know anything. I'd be like, okay, I am a lot better than I was, because used to, I was the new guy and I couldn't handle that guy. But it gives you a lot more confidence to be able to go, all right, that person that doesn't know anything about jiu-jitsu, I can take care of that person,
Yeah. So what I sometimes do, I didn't do it with BMAC because he was already kind of entertaining the crowd a little bit. So since you're in pretty good shape, are you okay with doing push-ups, pushing out on the very end to
You want me to do some push-ups on camera?
Yeah.
Okay, how many?
We'll probably do like 10. 20.
Okay.
So you're gonna do it with me. I'm gonna play this
You're gonna
song.
do-
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm gonna
let's see
move
if
it
I
so
can.
I can do it on the floor.
Hang on, let me see if I can. I gotta maneuver my. I'm gonna have to take my sweatshirt off and get all hot.
Oh wow. Okay. All right, let's do like 20 push-ups. How about that?
Oh, 20. Dang, okay. Let's see. I don't know if that's. I need to back up. Okay. I think you'll be able to see me on the floor over there. Oh, yeah. Good luck trying to get Brandon to do push-ups. That would have been terrible. Okay. You can see me over here.
You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, knock about 20 push-ups. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Perfect.
All right.
Awesome. All right, I appreciate the little workout today. So we're
I got my sweat on a little bit.
so we end with that. We got our 40-year-old push-ups out of the way. So congrats on the 10-year, and then you got your 18-year coming up, and then your 1-year black belt coming up this year.
Yeah.
So congrats on everything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate your time. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And I'll push this later once we it'll probably upload. It'll probably take like midday to later on tonight. And I'll push it and I'll tag you. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoy it.
I enjoyed it too.
You're a badass chick.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good blessed day.
You too.